Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laurence and I post art videos. I have received this box of soft oil pastels by the brand Lightwish. They contacted me and asked me if I wanted to make a little review video. So I said, why not? Because I've been loving playing around with oils lately and I'm not the one with the most experience with oil pastels. But I thought that it could be so much fun, and I've seen people online making beautiful, beautiful drawings with these oil pastels. So I decided I wanted to try them out and show you what it looks like. So the box, as you can see, is pretty big. It contains 48 colors. So pretty. There's a lot of colors. The colors look beautiful. You just want to play around with them. I can tell right away that they're very creamy just by picking one up. I have some pastel on my fingers, so I think this is a good sign. So on the bottom you have all of the colors with their numbers, so you have a good idea of what colors you can find in there, and they're extremely creamy, so I think they're going to be really fun to use. And I want to test a technique that I haven't seen much. I'm going to use some oils to activate these pastels, hopefully create a really nice painting with these. I think that this is the way that makes the most sense to me. I use my watercolor pencils that way, I use my Neocolor tools that way, so I think that if I can use these as kind of oil paint tubes, but in a solid form, I think I could go very far with this. So what I'm gonna do is I already prepped a little kind of canvas board. It's really nice. I've never tried that before. It's on aluminum and it's a surface that is prepped for oils. I don't need to do anything else. So I think I'm just going to do a quick sketch and then we'll come back and we will test these babies out. All right, so I created a sketch. As you can see, it is a small landscape. I'm going to be using my oil paint brushes. I have a bunch here, so I'll be able to pick and choose the one that I need. I have some really tiny ones that are good for details and some bigger ones that I can use to create bigger areas. So I think I'm already going to select a smaller one because I know I'm going to need it. And maybe this one, these two. And then we'll see if we need more. I have my reference picture not too far. Okay, so now what I'm thinking is we can either use solvent, which I have in this container, or more oil. So I have both of these things, and I was thinking I could do a first layer using my solvent first, just to see how it goes, and to map out the main colors, maybe do the sky, maybe do the lightest areas or the background, and then I would like to try to add some oil. I put some solvent on my brush, and I am now picking up the color. Oh, that's nice. And applying the color to my canvas. I could also put some pastel directly on it and then add some solvent after. Okay, that's very nice. And let's add some of this here. Let's work on a base color basically. I'm gonna work on the mountain in the background. I would like to make some greens and some grays. So let's, oh, this one is quite dark, but I'm sure we'll be able to bring it back. I'm pressing very lightly right now, and there's already a lot of color that is going onto this paper. It is super creamy. Let's just see what happens if I try to mix these. That's nice. I'm trying to keep this background pretty pale. So when you look, you're outside in nature, you're doing a hike, pay attention to the color of the different layers that surround you. You'll see the furthest is lightest. I think it's due to the interference of the air particles and the colors. I'm not exactly sure. I want to work a little bit on the sky just to map out the darkest area. So I'm going in with my pastel again. I like to put a mix of paler colors on top of the clouds. I do not have a lot of experience painting clouds, and I wouldn't say it's my goal to get better at it, but I wouldn't mind getting better at it. We have a few interesting grayish whites, which I think are going to be perfect to create these clouds. Then I think I'm going to go in with some white, which I heard is great for mixing too. When you want to mix something, you can add some white or some lighter colors on top, and apparently you get a good result. Let's see what happens when I try to mix it a little bit. This feels very nice. I like the different textures that you can achieve. A lot of people also mix with their fingers, which looks very fun, but very messy, and I don't feel like going to the bathroom to wash my hands 15 times in this painting video, so we will not do that. I have a feeling that I'm still gonna get messy fingers. Okay, now I know that my sky is way too pale, so I'm going to be adding a bit more of a dark blue. To be honest, I think there's a lot of potential with this. I'm having a lot of fun, and it's a very nice discovery for me because I'm not used, as I said, to working with this medium. I always love mediums versatile, so that you can use in different way, just like my watercolor pencils and things that I use very often. I use them in all of their forms, so sometimes I will draw, use their wet form, sometimes I will draw and then with them. So it's very nice to discover a new medium that I can use in the same way. This might be too dark, so maybe I can add some lighter colors on top. Like maybe some of this or some light blue. It adds some texture, and also it makes more sense because this mountain needs to be darker than the sky, than the adjacent clouds, but it still needs to be paler than the rest of the image. And I feel like with something this dark right now, we don't really achieve that. I think that adding this blue will really help. When I blend it like that, it kind of makes everything a nice gray. Okay, I decided to start working on the mountain here. I put a tiny amount of solvent on my brush. So I use this kind of to do the first layer of this mountain. And in some areas I'm adding some green because there are trees growing on that mountain. So I just want to add a hint of that. And one thing that I noticed that is really cool with this medium is that you can always add more on top. So this mountain in the background here, I thought it was too light, then too dark, then I was able to lighten it again. So it's very forgiving. Okay, now we're gonna add a bit more color, some greens. And I would like to add a little bit more of a darker color around the top of this mountain. So very comfortable with this medium yet, which I think is normal. But I think I saw a bunch of tutorials too where they were using these pastels, I would say maybe more in a traditional way, where they were drawing and everything like that. I feel like this is less my style, and I wanted to show you that you can use these pastels in a lot of different ways. So if, like me, maybe you're more of a painter than a drawer, then know that you can still have fun with these. You can still use these in a way that makes sense to you. See, so I'm still picking up some colors. So I feel like for the first layer, the color goes on easier if I add a bit of solvent, but after that you don't really need to add more solvent. I'm going to add some of that grayish white. I don't really want to add it by drawing because this area is tiny and I feel like I'm not going to have the precision that I want if I draw compared to if I just go like this and put it where I need. Okay, so far I've been working with solvent, but now I'd like to see what happens if I work with oil instead. So we're just going to maybe do this small part here just to test it out. I put some oil on my brush, so I think I'm just gonna start with picking up some paint. I see I can pick up paint fairly easily, and yeah, it works really well. Okay, I like that. So I think I'm going to put some areas of bright green and this kind of olive. Use some oil on the tip of my brush to blend things out. Yeah, I like working with the oil. It's nice. So let's work on the ground. I'd like to do that first, I think, before we get into the darkest shades. Okay, I think I need some pops of green. So I'm gonna add some bright green to that mix that I'm doing here. So I mix that with some yellow ochre and it gives me a greenish ochre, kind of. Since it mixes with what's already on the paper and what's already on my brush, I feel like this green doesn't get too bright. And if it does, like here, it's pretty bright because there wasn't anything on the paper. I'm gonna add some yellow ochre on top of it anyway, so it's gonna be fine. Maybe I like working with oils better than solvent. It's not surprising, but solvent kind of degrades the paint. So if you add too much, then you're really gonna, it's not gonna do what you want it to do. But it's a great way to do a quick wash. But I think that you can also do that with the oil like I'm doing. I can still stretch it pretty far, but it doesn't degrade the pigment. Anyway, it just feels better. It's hard to explain. So I think this is what I'm gonna continue to be doing moving forward, working with that oil. Oh, I saw that I forgot to do this mountain here, which is a similar color to this one. So let's do it now. And this time we'll test it out with the oil, see how it goes. Okay, tiny mountain. Maybe I'm gonna add a bit of red to it just to warm it up. So since I have some dark on my paintbrush, I'm just going to put some where I know that dark is gonna go later on. So we have a dark tree here. I don't really have a specific plan in mind. I think I'm just like doing whatever I want whenever I feel it, which for me, I think it's a good way to get more comfortable with a new medium. I don't have a workflow yet with a new medium like that, so I'm just trying out a bunch of things. I'm just going where I feel like going. So now I'm working with my smaller brush because I'm doing smaller sections. So I'm kind of mixing two greens together on my pastel. So I put some oil on my brush and then I take some paint from one and then from the other, and then I kind of go back and forth like this. And sometimes I just add a bit of darker paint as well. At this point, I don't even know what this is. I see paint, I see pastel, but I kind of use them as paint. And I'm so used of painting, so I think I tend to say that everything is paint, basically. Here's what I created with this set of oil pastels. This was such a fun experience. I liked mixing the colors, I liked using my paintbrushes, I liked drawing, I liked adding layers, and I liked the fact that I was able to undo mistakes or to change colors of stuff. I could put some light over some darks over some lights, and it did not matter. I think doing a small painting like this was good for doing a little trial, but I would be really interested in seeing what this kit can do when you paint bigger. I think it could be really nice. Today I wanted to start small just to have a quick idea of how I like them, and they are creamy, they are pigmented, they are soft, so fun to use. Next time I think I'd like to try different techniques like scratching some colors and maybe blending more without using a paintbrush or solvent or anything like that. Maybe just blending with a sponge or my finger, see what I can achieve with that. Before I let you go, I want to show you something else, which is this watercolor journal that was provided to me by Lightwish as well. I could have used this sketchbook when I did my drawing, but I prefer doing oil pastels on a separate either canvas or paper just because I don't want it to smudge if I close the book on top of it. And also I really like my watercolors, and I want to keep this book for watercolor because it is acid free, it is 100% cotton, so I'm pretty sure the quality will be amazing for watercolors. It also is hot press and it's 300 GSM, it contains 20 sheets, so I just want to keep it for watercolors. You can see its texture. I don't know if you can see it too well, but it has a really beautiful texture. I love this beautiful dark vibrant green, and remove it. The paper is just slightly textured, almost not textured at all. There's a tiny amount of texture, but I would say that this paper is pretty flat, and there is a pocket there at the end of the sketchbook, which is a touch that I always appreciate. Another cool thing is that the pages are detachable, so there are little lines here that you can use to rip the page off if you want. So what I was thinking of doing today was just to swatch my watercolor palette that, as you can see, has been well loved, and just to see how this paper takes the water. And I also have a few tubes that I got in the past few months that I don't think I've swatched properly, so I thought we could take the opportunity to do that. I also have two watercolor sticks that I haven't swatched before, so I will do that here today. Let's start with our top row. I'm gonna skip the white just because I don't see the point of putting white on a white paper. So this is my buff titanium. Cadmium yellow pale. Hansa yellow. Queen Rose and red medium hue. Cadmium red medium hue. And now we have our two blues of the top row. Phthalo blue and French ultramarine. So this is phthalo blue. I'm sure you could have guessed. This palette is going to be due for a refill soon. Let me know if you want to see that video. Next, the second row is more of the earth tones. So here we have, this might be a little bit dirty, so let me just, Queen Gold. Yeah. Then, oh, almost nothing left of this one. Yellow ochre, which is a color that I use a lot. Lunar Earth. I'm excited to see the granulation in this sketchbook. Granulation is very important to me when it comes to watercolor, so I would love if we could see good quality of granulation in this sketchbook. Okay, another color I use a lot, Quinacridone Sienna. It's just so pretty. Then transparent red oxide. Burnt yellow ochre, which I don't understand this color. Why is there yellow in the name? I have no idea. Well, I guess maybe they use the same pigment as yellow ochre, but they burnt it? I guess that would make sense. And then raw umber. Now, last row, we have some greens and blues. This one is green gold. It's such a vibrant color. Then we have sap green. Spring green, which I mostly use for mixes just because it's way too intense and unnatural, and I paint landscapes, so I don't really have a place for a color like this as is, but it's good for mixes. Then Zoisite Genuine, which is not a color that I use a lot, so I would consider swapping it for another color next time I redo this palette. But it's a beautiful color, so I think that's why I keep adding it in my palette, but I see that it's one of the colors that is the most untouched, I think, in this whole palette. I don't think I have filled it up recently. I have Shire Blue from Schminke. Then, oh, I love this one. Cobalt Teal Blue, which should be due for a little refill soon. And then another one that I love, Phthalo Turquoise. I use this one a lot in mixes as well. It creates beautiful colors. Cerulean Blue that I use a lot in mixes as well to create interesting skies. I like to mix it with different colors to create moody skies. I often mix it with Forest Blue, which is this one. And then we have Tundra Blue that I don't use a lot, but I put it there because I thought it was super pretty and I wanted to use it more. So I think I should make more of an effort. It's so beautiful. It could be a moody sky in itself. No need for further mixing. Then we have two more. Tundra Rose, which I use more and more. I think it needs a bit more reactivating. And Deep Sea Violet, which I also use a lot. Okay, so we have Yellow Ochre from Memory Blue. It's a beautiful color. Then another color from Memory Blue, which is very interesting. I don't have anything like this. The name is Green Earth, but it's a very pale color. It's very interesting to create light washes, but I don't think I have swatched it properly. I have used it in some lesser quality sketchbooks and I've loved the color, but I'm looking forward to see what it looks like. As you can see, it's very pale. It doesn't look as pale when you put the paint in a palette, but then when you swatch it, it really does look pale. Then we have Hazel Green. Such a pretty color. So beautiful. And we have Viridian, which is a beautiful turquoise color. Amazing. And then I just want to finish off with my two watercolor sticks. So we have Rich Green Gold and we have Quinacridone Burnt Scarlet. Very nice. Alright, so this is what it looks like. I think that this paper is going to be really good. I see a lot of interesting granulation. I see the color separation that I was supposed to see with some of the colors. I liked drawing on it because the paper is quite smooth, so I think that if I use my watercolor pencils, it's going to be really good. If I use my new color tools, it's going to be really good. If I get more of these watercolor pastels, then that would be really good. But just for straight up watercolors and gouache, I can totally see myself using this. So that's it. That was my little overview of this new watercolor sketchbook that Lightwish sent me. Thank you so much, Lightwish, for sending me these beautiful products. I can't wait to use them again. And if you want to get them for yourselves, the link is going to be in the description. You can get them for quite cheap on Amazon. So I think if you want to try out oil pastels for the first time, or if you want a good affordable watercolor sketchbook, you could totally check these out. I think you would be satisfied with these. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you would like to see anything else in the future, anything specific, let me know as well. And I will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye.